Do you ever wonder what the scripture, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, actually means? That's Matthew 5:3, by the way. It sounds kind of negative, right? Blessed are the poor in spirit. But let's dive into what poor in spirit actually means. So, this scripture is actually the first of the Beatitudes during Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, found in Matthew chapters 5 through chapter 7. And it sets the tone for everything that follows. Now, I can't pronounce the Greek for this, but basically, the phrasing poor in spirit in Greek means someone who is destitute, a beggar, and completely dependent on others. And spirit here refers to a person's inner spiritual condition before God. Now, Jesus is not saying here that it's a blessing to be like poor and without anything or have low self-esteem or to feel worthless. What he's actually saying here is that it's a blessing for those who realize they are spiritually bankrupt without God. Like they literally have nothing without God and are fully dependent on God in life. He's saying they are blessed because they realize they cannot earn God's favor by any good works. They need God for everything, and every good thing they have comes from God. A poor in spirit person says, I need God's mercy. I cannot save myself. Everything I have comes from God. Basically, this is the opposite of spiritual pride or self-righteousness. And blessed here means much more than just being happy. It's someone who is favored by God and flourishing under God's blessing, regardless of outward circumstances. For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Notice that Jesus says theirs is, not it will be. It's present tense. Those who humble themselves before God already belong to his kingdom. They have entered into God's reign through faith and will also inherit future fullness. Here, Jesus is echoing passages from the Old Testament, such as Isaiah 57:15. God dwells with him who is of a contrite and lowly spirit. Isaiah 66:2. God looks in favor on the one who is humble and contrite in spirit. Psalm 34:18. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted. Throughout Scripture, God consistently shows grace to those who humbly depend on him. Jesus begins teaching the Beatitudes by talking about humility before God because it's the doorway to everything else. Before someone can actually receive God's grace, they have to realize they need it and how desperately they need it every single day of their life for the rest of their lives. For the rest of eternity, we need Jesus desperately every day. And I used to not like this when people would say it until I realized what a revelation and a freeing revelation it is. You don't have to walk around anymore burdened with the responsibility of your life when you can humbly surrender it to God and let him worry about it. And then you don't have to live in condemnation when you mess up, because we're human and we mess up, and basically God can carry the burden of your life better than you can. And once you fully realize that and can accept that, it is such a liberation. It's so freeing. You don't feel bad about yourself. You actually feel way better about yourself because you realize the God of the universe isn't holding you to this insane standard. He fulfilled that standard for us at the cross. What an amazing, gracious, loving God that we serve. Here's a practical prayer that reflects Matthew 5:3. Father, I know I cannot earn your righteousness. I depend completely on your mercy through Jesus Christ. Help me to walk humbly before you and trust you every single day of my life. Pray that prayer when you're feeling overwhelmed. And remember that entrance into God's kingdom is not through wealth or status or accomplishments or achievements or pretty much any standards of this world or even your own family. Even our own family and friends and parents can sometimes hold us to standards that we can't meet and they can't even meet. Entrance to God's kingdom is through humble dependence on him, and he is the only one we need to please. He's the God of the universe. Don't worry about pleasing your friends and family, your parents, your peers. Please God through humble dependence on him and take everything to him in prayer. Let me know in the comments if this blessed you today.